Alright, we've already got our mating surfaces, everything is cleaned up. So I'm just going to put a little bit of super lube on here, kind of just maybe let it stick on there. Even though it does have dowel pins on there, you know, it should hold the gasket in place. I would think that'll do it. Now we're going to take this here gasket, the intake manifold, we're going to locate it, put it right over the dowel pins here, pressing it up so it'll stick in that super glue. And that kind of will hold our gasket in place, make sure we're going to be seated. Now we're going to take our carburetor, like this here, there's our throttle valves. They will go next to the intake manifold. We're going to locate it over our dowel pins, and we just kind of push it in place. And that should hold it until we get our next step.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yep, that's it. I'm recording.
So again, I'm going to put a little bit of super lube here, kind of just hold the gasket in place. Now there should be 2 dowel pins on this here airbox base. There's one of them, but you can see that one of them is missing. But we'll be good. That's just for locating it, putting it on. Now we're going to take our gasket and we're going to put it on just like this. So there's our dowel pin right there. And this is where our other dowel pin would have been. We'll press it in place. And it looks good to me. What do you think?
Yep.
And then it's going to go on just like
that.
This.
You got it right.
So that's one of them. And let's get another one. I'll get the top one here. Screw it down just a little bit. Can you see anything?
No, just your elbows. Now I can see.
These again is 10 millimeter, as we mentioned when we took it off. Now we'll get the other 2. One of them is right down in there. Got another one on this side over here. So we're going to be putting the air cover, top air cover box on. Now there's also a gasket in here that's in a groove. So we've already got that in place. And this here coolant line is kind of wanting to fight us, but then we got it in there. There. Okay. Now there's one other thing that we have to do, and that means that there's an evap line that goes from here that connects to here. So if you notice right there's a little clamp. See it right in there? So we need to put that on before we actually clamp this thing down. Alright, I'm going to take this fuel evap line and I'm going to push it right down inside this clamp. It's right here made onto the top air box cover. So I got the fuel evap line on, and now it's inside the clamp. And now I'm gonna get the bolts. Another bolt, and the other two bolts will go right down under the bottom on the cover. Well, I'm tightening them, getting ready to. Alright, we're going to be putting this here coolant hose onto this coolant pipe. Again, just going to put a little bit of super lube on there. Make it easier to come off the next time. Okay. 6mm socket for the hose clamp. Alright, we're going to be putting on the air intake hose. Again, a little bit of super lube. Slide him on. Bring our hose clamp up. Again, 6mm socket. Going to be putting on the coolant hoses here. I'm going to just put a dab of super lube. Okay. Alright, we're going to take a hose. We're going to slide it on. Going to slide the other one on. Going to get some pliers here, lineman pliers.
I'm figuring it out.
Trying. He's figured it out, not me.
And that's done. Alright, so back here in the back, I'm going to put a little bit of super lube on the port here for the air intake. Now we're going to put the breather hose on there. Come back with a side cutters, diamond pliers, whichever. And he's done. We're going to take this throttle linkage lever. I'm just going to put a little bit of super lube in there. I'm going to push it over on this here little ball. And then we are done. Alright, we're going to take this choke linkage. We're going to put it in the hole that's over here on this, like this little lever. Going to swing it around. It's going to come underneath. And it's going to, I'm going to just sit it right there for now. Alright, so I got a little bit of super lube in there. You remember there was a bushing on the bottom. There was two nylon washers, flat washers up here on the top. You can probably see that. So now we're going to take this choke cable. I'm going to drop it in there, put it in the slot, and I'm going to turn it around. Okay. And now I'm going to take this linkage, I'll put it in the hole. It's going to go down, rotate it up. And now we're going to take it, after we get our linkage in, Then we're going to take him, put him right there. And we'll screw him down. And this looks like a 10mm head bolt. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and tighten him down. Do a little snug. Alright, also we want to be sure to put our spring on. So I want to hook it right down in this hole, right there. And then it's going to hook into a hole that's right here on the back side of this boss. Okay? Okay, and now we're going to check the linkage on the choke. Alright, going to be connecting up the fuel inlet line going to the carburetor. Again, just putting a little bit of super lube on here. Kind of make these hoses slide on easier. See how easy that went on there?
Yeah, the lube makes a difference.
Okay. Now we're going to be tightening up this hose clamp. Alright, now we're going to take this cover that goes over top of the carburetor and we're going to slide it into this hole that's on the end, this bigger hole. Bring it over. And then we're just going to get it in their position. And there he is. Now we're going to come back over here. We're going to take our governor linkage and we're going to take and drop it in the hole. We're going to take this little clip and we're going to slide it over. Now we're going to get our 4 bolts and we'll put them in. Alright, we got our 4 bolts in. These are M6 by 1.0 thread pitch and they're 12mm long. $10mm socket. We'll take care of that for you. Alright, so we have this little bracket. It's going to mount in just like this. So we're going to slide it in. We'll put the bolt in on the back. There are 3 bolts. M6 by 1 by 12mm long. Put him out of the side. Then there's 2 bolts up here on this end. And then we have the other bolt right here. $10mm socket will take care of that for you. Now we got the carburetor rebuilt, so we're going to start the engine and we're going to let it thoroughly warm up because we're going to be adjusting this carburetor. There's 2 fuel mixture screws right here. So there's one there, there's one here. Now we also have an idle speed screw that's down in here. Now another thing we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here to this idle stop screw. Now this is an 8mm wrench. I've already loosened it. I'm going to take this screw and I'm just going to back it off so it's off of this here XL lever. So there's clearance in there between this XL lever here, this tang, and this bolt. Okay, so that's already done. So now we're going to just go ahead and we're going to crank up this engine. And what we're looking for to spec on this is 850 to 950 RPM. we're going to shoot for 900 RPM. That's going to be right in the center. Now we're going to be putting a tachometer, a digital tachometer on here so we can see what our RPM. Alright, so let's get ready to hook a tachometer up, alright? Now we can set this thing up for different 2-stroke engines, 4 strokes, 1 cylinder, 2 cylinder, whatever we got. So I got it set for a 4-stroke engine, 2 cylinders. Now this right here is an antenna, alright? I'm going to take the clip. Here's our number 1 spark plug over here. Number 1 cylinder, here's our number 2 cylinder. So I'm going to take the clip and I'm just going to hook it around the spark plug wire, just like that. Now right now, we can see what our idle is. Now, as I mentioned before, we're looking from 850 to 950. We're going to shoot for, say, 900. But anywhere from 850 to 950 is fine. Alright? And you can see at 840 RPM, engine sounds really good. Alright? Now let's go ahead and make an adjustment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that right there so you guys can see the RPM. Now I mentioned before, back over here on this idle stop screw, this is an 8mm nut. A wrench will fit it, 8mm wrench. Then you take this screw, you back it off so it's not touching onto this here XL lever, this here tab, this here tang that you see sticking up. So I got clearance in between. Okay? So now the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and maybe we'll bump up this here idle speed. Now if we look right down in here, you can see there's a screw. If I turn the screw clockwise, the idle speed is going to increase. We can watch our RPM on the meter there to see that. So we're like 960. Alright, let me just back it down just a hair. And it does not take much. If you look at my screwdriver, you can see I am not turning it much. And it makes quite a bit of a difference. So that's 980, got 970, 960, 950. Okay? Let's keep it right there for a moment. Now we're going to come back to our mixture screws here. Fuel mixture screws. Doesn't matter which one you start with. I'm going to start with this one over here. You can watch the meter. Now, if I turn it in clockwise, I'm going to be cutting off the fuel. That means that the RPM is going to slow down. So I want to go down, turning it clockwise. You notice that the RPM is dropping. When I see it starting to drop, what I want to do is I want to go back clockwise. Now as I go clockwise, you can hear that the RPM is going up. You can see it's 920, 930, 940. Now what I'm looking for is the highest and the steadiest reading. But I'm going to get it to a point, if I keep turning it clockwise, that ain't going to make no difference. Then I know I've gone too far. See, I'm still turning. You notice that the RPM is not increasing, so I need to go back clockwise. So it's starting to come down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it back, say, maybe back a quarter turn. That's a quarter turn. Let's see if I go a little more. Let's see if it gets higher. All right, I haven't touched it yet. Now I'm going to turn it. That's another quarter turn. Not making no difference. So I'm going to go back a quarter turn clockwise. Okay, now I'm going to turn it 1/8 of a turn clockwise. So now I'm making smaller increments. Still no difference. Going to turn a little bit more clockwise. I see it dropped a little bit. So now I'm going to go back 1/8 of a turn clockwise. I'm going to leave it right there. Now I'm going to go do the same exact procedure on this one over here. Let me swap my hand so you can see the meter. Turn it in clockwise. See this? Now I need to go back out. I'm turning counterclockwise. Still turning clockwise. Still clockwise. Notice we don't see no difference. So I need to go back. Basically, the ideal setting is you find out where your minimum is, and then you find where your max is, where it peaks out, where it stops. And then you're trying to put it in pretty much right in the middle between those two extremes. And I'm going to say that right there looks pretty good to me. All right, now you remember, so our mixer screws look pretty good. But notice that RPM is like 980, right? So the specs is 850 to 950. So I want to drop it down. I like to get it around, say, let's get 900, which is right in the middle. So I'm going to go back over here to our to our idle screw over here. So I'm going to turn it counterclockwise to make this here RPM drop. Like I said, it's only very, very small adjustment on this. So I'm going to come back clockwise just a little bit. And I think we can hold them right there. We'll see how he does. That looks pretty good to me. Now this is the thing, sometimes what you have to do is you got to let it run a little bit. You got to let it stabilize.
940.
So I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to turn the idle screw here, idle speed screw. I'm going to give it just a little bit counterclockwise.
940. I got a bad glare. There, 930, 20, 10, 20.
Okay.
890, 900.
Okay. What is it now?
880, 870.
Alright, back up just a smidgen. I mean, we're talking about very, very small turns on this idle speed.
880, 890, 8, yeah.
Yep.
910, 900.
Alright, that looks pretty good to me. Alright, now what we want to do now is I want to see how responsive it is. How's she looking?
Yeah, 920, 930.
Okay.
It went up as high as 3,600.
Yeah. Now, here's another thing. When you're revving it up, you notice this is your governor over here, all right? So your governor, when you press the pedal, this is your throttle linkage right here. This is when you do the pedal, mash the gas pedal, this right here is going to move, then that's going to move this, and this right here is going to be setting the high RPM of the engine. Now, according to the service manual, that should be around 3,600 RPM. Now, I've already looked at that. That's fine. The governor did not need any kind of adjustment on it. All right, now the last thing, once you get everything set, we're going to go back over here. We're going to go back over here to this here
this here idle stop screw. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this screw, we're going to turn it in until this here screw just touches that tang. We don't want it to move, we just want to touch it. So I turn the screw by hand, it touches. At that point, I'm going to take this 8mm nut and I'm going to lock it down. Okay, that looks good to me.
This is the air filter, and to change it, you're going to do a clamp on top and a clamp under the bottom. You're going to pull it off. You're going to pull the cover off, and there's your air filter, and you kind of like roll it out of a slot, and it'll have a hole, and then you insert the clean one back onto that same spot. And to fix it back, you're going to find your hook line. That'll be the bottom. That goes on the bottom. And here is the thing. And you're going to clamp that back under the rubber and push down. And the same with the bottom. There. Did I do it right?
You did it perfect.
Okay, this is the air filter. Right behind it is an air restrictor. And when the air filter needs changing, this button on top will pop out. You change your air filter, put a clean one in, and reset your button by popping it down. Alright, we're in here checking the pressure in the tires, and the back tires were low. They need 24 pounds, and we had to add some more air. The front will be 10 pounds, and we're going to check those too.
Right, 24 psi.
Okay.
And 10 psi on the front.
Right.
Let's go ahead and take this thing for a test run. Responsive. So we got the mixer screws. I know they're pretty good. If I got those off one way or the other, if I got them too lean, too rich, you'll notice it'll be a boggy condition here. But it's doing pretty good. I'm happy with it. Brownie.
Sounds smooth.
Oh yeah. Now we're going to check it to see how well it starts.
try that again. Good gracious, look how fast that thing is starting. One more time. No, foot not on accelerator, nothing. All right, I say that sounds good. All right, now one other thing, guys. we have a little more issues. Some of it I'm not going to film, but it, you know, you can look right here, see the back seat. See, it's all fell apart. You can see the plywood is all rotted. So we're going to fix that. The plate back here is all rusted out, so I'm going to make a new plate, 2 new plates. Put the studs. Going to weld the bolts in there and put the nuts on it. Another issue is, if you look right here, you can see that this here parking brake needs an adjustment. Okay, it's supposed to be like, I think, from about 6 to 8 clicks, and it should lock. And you know, but it's not. The parking brake is not engaged. Another thing with this parking brake, if I have the switch on, right? So I have it on, and if I raise this up, this here light right here on the bottom is supposed to be for the parking indicator. As you can see, it's not working. The one up here on the top is for a high temp, for your coolant. If it gets 110 degrees centigrade, then this light will come on. Now, some people think, well, it should come on like on a card. Maybe you should see the light. No, you're not going to see the light. The only time this light's going to come on when your cooler gets to 110 degrees Celsius. Okay? So anyway, I have to fix that, at least the parking light. Some other issues. Another issue is I've got the hood right here. Hood. Let me get over here and press the lever to raise the hood. Now, on the hood. You can notice right here, you see the plastic is all busted away. So hopefully we can JB weld this with, you know, some plastic here. JB weld plastic epoxy. Don't know how well that'll hold, but we will give it a shot. Also, somebody over here in the front, you can see that, there's a big crack here like in the bumper. So we're going to take the JB weld and we're going to see if we can, you know, kind of fix that up a little bit. See if I know the other things. We had to replace the sending unit here, you know, for the fuel gauge. This thing was so dark, and the lens, you couldn't even see it. So this here has been replaced also. Some other stuff. We did some rewiring on here. Come around on this side. We did some wiring on the terminals for the battery. All right. Now this is not the correct battery, but it'll be fine. You can see I did some more. All of these here terminals were corroded. That was actually one wire that was over here on this here positive terminal. It was completely off. So all of these here terminals have been replaced. You can see that there's another cable here. You can see it's in a plastic loom. It's coming up, and you can see it's right over here. So I've mounted this here little clasp right here. So Linda, she puts a chemical sprayer here, so this way she can take this, she can unhook it. She's got a chemical tank in there, then she can hook this up to the pump. Then she can spray her terminal, you know, the weeds and whatnot. Okay. Anything else? What else do we do? Also, I've already checked the coolants, made sure the level was correct. That was low. Also, we got to do some. We're going to grease the fittings, you know, the U-joints and that kind of stuff. Some other stuff. I'm sure there's other stuff that I'm missing that I can't think of. But anyway, that kind of stuff, you guys don't need to see that about making this seat. But I figured we will do a video on this here parking brake and do a little troubleshooting, diagnosing, see why the light's not coming on, and then also do an adjustment on this parking brake so you can see that. But other than that, I think this Mule is in pretty good shape.